Welcome to the Crafty Crochet Review Show. Today we're going to talk about how to block your finished crochet projects. I'm going to show you two swatches, one with acrylic yarn and one with with wool yarn to do steaming as well as wet blocking. I'll show you both techniques very quickly. It's not that hard, I promise you. I'm really excited to get started. Are you? So in order to get started with blocking, the first thing you need to know is what kind of project are you working on? Or better, which project did you finish? Is it a just acrylic project, a just, let's say, wool, or let's say natural fiber project? Or was it a blend? Okay, so you kind of have to look at your yarn. So I'm going to focus first on the, let's say, 100% yarns, meaning either 100% acrylic, 100% wool, 100% alpaca, 100% cotton, those kind of types, because the blends, well, they can be tricky. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I won't show you a swatch about it. When you have a blend, you have to focus on what is the higher percentage of the fiber that's in the blend. So let's say it is 80% wool and 20% acrylic. Well, that would mean you would focus on the project being wool over acrylic, right? So if it's a 50-50, I would go with the one with the fiber that is more sensitive. In this case, to take in the wool as an example, I know some people are allergic to wool. You can use alpaca. I'm just using wool as an example. If it's a 50-50, let's say 50% wool, 50% acrylic, I would still go by the wool over the acrylic. If it doesn't work, then you go to the acrylic version. So what's the difference? Well, there is steam blocking and there's wet blocking or cold blocking. It really depends on how you want to say it. Most people just call it wet blocking. The most important thing to remember is that any natural fibers do not use any hot or really high temperature water, let's say it that way, liquids, because it's going to make the fibers feld together. It's going to change the characteristic of the fiber, okay? So which means wool is going to feld and it's going to clunk up and the fibers are going to hold together. Think of it as hooks. They're not straight, so think them as hooks, and then they're going to hook together as soon as you add some heat to it, right? Like too much heat. Now, when should you be blocking? That's another question I get a lot. Well, it depends on what kind of project are you making. I would highly recommend doing blocking for garments and for anything such as a blanket when you have pieces, okay? So for example, if you are making a blanket that has lots of granny squares, it doesn't matter what type of granny square, whatever square it is, okay? Or rectangle or triangle, whatever. Anything you need the same measurements for, you want to do a blocking. The same is true for garments because you want to make sure it fits properly. The other thing is you can also block because you say, you know what, it doesn't really matter for this. Let's say it's a bag or a tissue box cover or something like that, or a pouch, but you really feel like you want to have pretty pictures. Let's say you are doing craft shows, whether that's digitally or in person, and you want your project to look really nice. Well, the fibers arrange better when you do blocking. Do you have to block? That's up to you, okay? It does look better when you do the blocking, but I really highly recommend, and I always do it for garments or anything wearables, and I do it for blankets. I don't do it really for tissue box covers, I just don't. Working on dishcloth, yay! You don't need to block dishcloth, so yay that, because you're going to use that for wet anyways. Cotton you can use with heat. Okay, so that means you can use high temperature, you can iron it, you can wash it with high temperatures, it'll be fine with it, okay? And cotton is also one of those fibers that will not stretch. It will go back to its original position, pretty much how it was, so you'll be fine. Okay, so don't worry about ever blocking cotton. It's not worth it, in my opinion, at all. So let me show you what kind of things I use in order to do blocking. So the first thing I want to show you is this. This is a premium blocking mat set. This is the top of it. There is, let's see, it said on here 9 pieces. I should look on the camera because I see it right there. It includes 9 pieces. This is a premium set, which means it's thicker. And it even says here that the thickness is better. There's thin mats and there's thick mats. When you have heavy material or you want it to last longer, I would highly recommend spending a little extra money to getting the premium blocking mats. They last longer. I tell you that from my experience. I have a cheapy blocking set that is very thin and it's not working very well. I'll show you in a second the teeth right here. Okay, that's kind of hidden behind here. I'll show you in a better example in a second. They kind of get wonky, they can fall off, they can break, on all those things, right? So thicker in this case is better. So if you do a lot of blocking or you want to make sure your stuff looks good, go with the premium. Spend a little extra money, $5, $10 extra to get the premium one. I have a link down in the description for you to get a set where you get everything in together, besides a few items. I'll show you that, okay? So I use this. This has 9 of them in there and it has 100 pins. You can always add, get extra pins if you lose them. Don't worry, they're very, very affordable. You can also get the kit that I have listed down below. I also use these types of soap for wet blocking. They're called soak. It's actually not really soap. It's kind of more, think of it as a fragrance. Think of it as something that you add to make your project really, really nice. Okay. So I have here one that smells Celebration, that's called. It really smells nice. It doesn't smell like Celebration, like party or something. It smells really nice. It smells kind of flowery. I don't know if you can see, but they added a flower here. It does smell like a flower. And then there's an unscented version. They have more of them. There's just these 2 that I got from WeCrochet. You can use these for years. You might not even ever buy another one. Just saying, you buy one of these and it's going to last a long time. Why? Because I'm going to put this on the side here. It even says here for hand washing, use 1 teaspoon for 1 gallon of cold water. So you can, I mean, this is a lot of material in here. There's 375 milliliters. It says here at least 75 washes. So if you don't do a lot of blocking, this is going to last you a long time. And this, where you have little projects, you don't even use a whole teaspoon. I have a little bowl here that I'll show you, and I added a few drops to it, just make it equivalent roughly, right? So it's really cool, and I really like these. Highly recommend them. There's other designers out there that even make them themselves. It's, you know, you have to just figure it out. This is all natural. It even says here made with plant-derived renewable ingredients. So really cool. So I use these for wet blocking, not for steam blocking. Okay, so that's what I use. I also have a steamer, which I'll show you in a second, but it's already plugged in. So I can't really show you, pull it over here, but I'm going to show it to you how this works. Okay, so let's get started. I'll show you the pricing of all these things in a second and where to get them from. But how you guys doing, by the way? So I regret buying a cheap blocking set on Amazon. I get it. I'll show you the one that I have, okay? So, and that way you can see it. So over here, you won't see my face right now, but you should still hear me. So I have my set right here. I have to move my microphone so you can hear me. Okay, so here's my set. So let me show you right here. This is how thick they are. So you can see they're pretty thick, right? So a normal cheapy kind is about half the size. So this is thicker than the normal size. So look where my finger is, right? This is half the size right here for the cheapy kinds. So these are premium ones. They last longer. They're more durable, and you'll be much happier with them, okay? So here are the 100 pins, right? I have here my steamer. I use this steamer right here, but I don't think it's available anymore. I'll show you a different kind. The color doesn't matter. Steamers, it really doesn't matter as long as you have a good steamer. Okay, so here is a 100% wool project. I just made a little swatch, and here is 100% acrylic project. Can you guys still hear me? My microphone is on my left side, so hopefully I'm not sounding a little different. Right here is my little bowl. Yes, I'm using a yarn bowl for this because I didn't have time to go downstairs and get a normal bowl. But who cares? It's a cute little elephant. If you're curious, this is from from Furls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my project. Yes, you're supposed to weave these in first, but you know, it's a little example right here, right? So I'm just going to put this in. Okay, so this is cold water. So what you want to make sure of is, because this is wool, you don't want to pull it very much because it's going to stay like that. So you want to gently squeeze the rest of the water out. So just gently squeeze it. Again, this is cold water. This is not warm water. And I added a little bit of this right here, right? As I said, just a little drops. So very gently, you want it to be not fuzzy or anything. So let me put my water on the side, and then you're going to lay it out according to how you want it to be. So typically a project gives you a measurement or something of what you're supposed to go by. If you make up your own project, I would highly recommend you making all your projects the same width. So let's say you have all granny squares, then you want to make sure they're all the same. So I'm going to go by these 4 little corners right here of this square. So what I'm going to do is take here my pin and pin it right here on these corners. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. It's very easy. All you have to do is make it wet first. As I said, wet blocking is for wool, like so. First I'll go into all the corners. By the way, this is very pokey. Be careful, right? Like so. And then what you're going to do is you can kind of, when you have a bigger project, you want to kind of spread them out here in between to make sure that all the sides are straight as well. So this can help when you have, you know, a few things that didn't work out very well for you. You want to make sure that they all stay in place, right? So, and then what you would do now is you simply let it dry, okay? So you kind of have to look from the top. I'm looking at my camera to see if the top is right. So I'm seeing that this was kind of bent in, and I want to make sure it's straight. So what I'll do is I'll take another one of these and simply poke it in here to make sure it stays in place, right? So that's all. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit. I should have moved this over a little bit, but I'm going to do it like this because I want to make sure that my steamer doesn't touch the wool, okay? So here's my acrylic project. Here, for the acrylic project, you simply are going to do the reversed, which means you're going to pin it down first, like so, and then we're going to use the steamer after, okay? So I'm going to pin this to make sure, and then you can kind of pull it a little bit, and then the steamer is going to set it in place. So see, I want to push this in a little bit. I want to make sure it's straight. Okay, like so. Let's see, is the top kind of straight? I'm going to move this down just slightly, like so. And put this over here. This should make it straight, and push this in slightly right here to make this straight. So pretend this is a gigantic square, right? How did you do the blocking crochet? Emily, that's what I'm doing right now. So this one is a wet blocking right here, which is for wool. I made it wet first with cold water. I just showed how to do it, so you can watch the replay after. And then this is acrylic, 100% acrylic. So let me move this to the side. And my water, otherwise I'm going to kick this over. And here's my steamer, and all I have to do is add some water here. It tells you the minimum and the max, right? And then it has one button that turns it on, but first it has to heat up. So it shows me that it's green, so that means it's heated up. And now I'm going to turn this on. It's going to make some noise, and you can see the steam. I think you see it. No, maybe not. You see some of the steam, possibly. So what you want to do is kind of hang it over, but don't touch your project because you don't want to burn it. Be careful with your hand. So you kind of steam it a little bit until it's mildly moist, but hot, or not hot, wet, and like whoopsie, my camera's probably going to steam up. You can see the steam, right? So you want to make it moist and warm, but not hot. You don't want to touch your acrylic ever. Even if you use an iron, same true, never touch it. Okay, so that's all it needs really. So I do it a few times, and that's all. So what I do now is I have to let this one dry completely as well as this one. This one is going to dry faster than this one because this one is wet. Like literally I, put it into water as you saw me do that. I put it in here. So this is going to take longer to dry than this one. You want to make sure that you're not layering too many on top of each other unless it's already cool, right? So you could be putting a few on top of each other. You can see there is some room right here. So I could be putting another one on top if I wanted to, but I wouldn't do more than that. And yeah, so now I'm going to just let it dry. And once it's dried, it's going to stay in place. So that is how you do the blocking, okay? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, when you have, let's say, a blended yarn, you want to make sure that it's kind of, let's say it's 80% wool. You're going to go with the cold, wet blocking versus the acrylic because wool is a lot more sensitive because it's a natural fiber than it is when it's a artificial yarn such as acrylic, for example. For cotton, don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry about blocking cotton at all. If cotton is in the blend, it actually has certain characteristics. As I said, acrylic, you want to steam, and cotton, you have to remember that it doesn't really move a lot, okay? It doesn't stretch, which is why you don't really need to block it. It doesn't stretch. But if it's in part of the blend, pretty much ignore that it's there. Kind of remember that it's there, though, because you're going to have a little bit of a harder time stretching it because of the cotton in there. You can still stretch it if there's wool in there or acrylic or something, but it's going to make it slightly harder if there's cotton in there. So just keep that in mind, okay? Do you guys have any questions? I'm here for you. I literally set up 3 cameras for you guys to make sure this is going to happen. Okay, so let me now share my screen right here because I want to show you what you can get. So this is one of the blocking kits that you can get from WeCrochet. It has everything in there. You even get extra things, right? And it has these long bars. Can you see them right here? Let me kind of click on it so it's a little bit bigger. You can see it has these long ones on there you could use as well. So in that case, you can block a lot more, like a lot more rectangles, squares, or triangles, or whatever it is. Now, if it's a shawl, you're obviously going to take this huge set over here and then put them together, right? Make it really big according to how you want it. You can make it into like a triangle shape according to whatever it is. If it's a blanket and you do it in pieces, do me a favor and do the pieces, block the pieces first before you sew them together. It's much easier that way to block it, and it's going to keep its shape, okay? So this is one of the sets that they have. This is a kit. It's currently on sale, actually. They also have just the blocking mat that I showed you. Just type in up here. There's a link down below in the description, right? Premium mats. And it's going to show you here these ones. This is exact ones that I have right here. I have simply the 100 pins and the premium mats. So those are the ones I have, and it's a little bit cheaper. It's not on sale right now though. So, but you can get that as well, right? And then here's the wash that I got. They have different fragrances, right? They have a scentless one. It really is scentless. It doesn't smell like anything. And then you have all the other ones. I got the Celebration. Love the Celebration. Smells wonderful. Smells like flowers. Really pretty. Really like it. Okay. And then here is one of the steamers you can get. I highly recommend you get a steamer. It's a one-time investment. It lasts for a long time. I got mine like 3-4 years ago. It still works fine. It's all there is. You could use an iron, but people don't forget with an iron not to touch their project, and then they melt the acrylic or something. That's why I don't use an iron and I use a steamer. So I remember for myself not to touch my project. So just be careful. Don't go closer than 1 inch to the project when you do steaming, right? So here's one of the steamers. I put a link down in the description for all those products that I use. So that you can get them for yourself. These are acrylic. These are affiliate links, so I get a little small commission if you use my links. I would appreciate it if you do. It helps me run my business, helps me make these reviews happen for you, and I can show you more and teach you more. So thank you so much for using my links. Do you guys have any questions? So let's see. Donna's saying, okay, let me put it here so everyone can see it. Donna says, okay, I have a rectangular wrap. I can't block the whole thing, space issues. Can you just block the corners? They're curling. 100% acrylic. So if you have blocking mats, make the blocking mats as big as you possibly can and block the parts that are able to be put onto the blocking mat, okay? And when you do that, you can block the certain part of the project. Let's say in your case, it's a rectangular wrap. Then you're going to block that part, and then you're going to move it over once that is done, dried, cooled, and all ready to go. And then you're going to move it over so that the rest of the parts can be blocked as well. I would not just block the corners. I personally wouldn't, because it's not going to keep its shape. Because if you only block one part and what blocking does, it changes the fiber slightly. Okay, so for wet blocking, it fixates it exactly where it is. And then for steam blocking, it kind of mildly melts it into place. And this is why acrylic stays the way it is when you do steam blocking. Okay, so for wet blocking, remember wool wet blocking. That means when you wash your wool stuff, or even anything natural fiber. So I'm talking about like alpaca yarn or anything similar to that, right? You want to make sure that you block it again once you washed it, okay? But always either hand wash it or cold wash it. Don't use heat on any natural fibers. It's going to felt or ruin your project or even shrink in some kind of way. So don't do that, okay? So hopefully this is helping. Do you guys have any more questions for me? I literally showed you how to do both wet blocking and steam blocking, how to do it when you have a blended fibers, and then you'll have to just let them dry, right? I mean, the acrylic one is pretty much done now. So I can show it to you. Right here, it's done now. It's completely dried now while I was talking. This one is still wet, as I told you, right? So this one I can take out now. And as you can see, it literally stays exactly how it's supposed to be. I'm going to hold this in place so it doesn't move around, but it stays exactly in place. See? Now it stays exactly how it is. So this is now blocked and it's perfect. So yeah, this is how it's going to look like for acrylic. So now it's a perfect square. I made it into a perfect square. And this is good to go now. I can use it for it. So obviously you can tell that acrylic blocking goes much faster. That means with a steamer versus wet blocking. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't wet block. It's definitely worth the effort. I am so excited that you were here. Let's see. Oopsie. I meant to do this. I'm so excited you were here. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to get a notification the next time I publish a new video or go live like this for a review. I hope this was very helpful for you. And if you have any further questions, leave them down below. I would highly appreciate if you can give it a thumbs up and let your friends know that I was here. Click the share button, tell them about this. If they have never blocked before and you want to tell them how it works, go share this video. I appreciate it very much. Leave a comment down below. And thank you for watching all the way through, because it does help me share my videos on YouTube a lot more. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a beautiful Friday, and I hope to see you the next time for the next Crafty Crochet Review Show. Until then, bye!